So The Boy and His Dog is done. I finished it last night. I got it scanned in, so I have a copy of it, and I have matted it and handed it off to the client. So The Boy and His Dog is completely done. So, what am I working on? Well, John's Longbox has me doing a story for him called The Printer's Devil. And he has already posted this image of this page up on the socials. So I am now going to be inking it for you guys to see. Now, how I'm looking at it as John already showed it, the pencils. So this is, and because also it's going to be, this is the very first page of the story, I'm not really giving anything away. I think that's the reason why John posted it. So I feel that he shouldn't have a problem with me showing a process video of working on it. I will check with John afterwards, and if he's okay, then I'll continue to do videos showing this image. Now, that is depending on workload, because I have two people coming in, or two couples, I should say, coming in today, and they have expressed repeated interest in me doing work for them. So I look at it as if I get those jobs, I will be working on those when I'm doing my videos, and you guys will see that. And that way, I'm working on this off screen. So, but for right now, it's like I could work on that other piece that I've been working on and off for a while. The one with the high tech soldiers and the that Xavier knockoff guy, but I really want to work on this page. So that's why I'm working on this one. So now with Sign Comics, today I posted book 20 or book 200 of 365, but we are on week 28, which is days 187 through 193. And it's funny because when I was looking at it, when I went to make the listing for this video, I was looking at it, I'm going, wow, I'm like, did I post this one? I can't remember posting this one. So it's entertaining. So that I was like, oh, I guess I did post it. It's so far back, I don't remember some of these books posting them. But I've got feelings and I've got my opinions on why I got these issues signed. So we'll start off with day 187, Offspring #1. It was a one shot. It's signed by Mark Waid. This was when they did the. Remember, we had the Kingdom Come miniseries, and then later on, through they did another Kingdom Come event, and they did a series of one issues, and this was one of those issues. I really enjoyed this one. Offspring, basically, it is the offspring of Plastic Man, and he is just his adventures of his life as the son of Plastic Man and being like, oh, geez, Dad, come on, just give me a break, because his dad's Plastic Man can form anything, and like even when as far as like him going on a date and his dad's like disguised as something in the background, giving him a thumbs up, like yeah, and basically driving him nuts. But in the end, basically, it's like he's happy to have him as his father. What was also neat is in this issue, remember how the big thing was about Kingdom Come was the new breed of superhero versus the old guard, and they had a bunch of those uh, new generation characters in this story, and so I enjoyed it. And Frank Quigley did a great job with it. This is what next time I see Frank Quigley, this might be one of those books that goes to the top of the list of what do I want him to sign. So I can't remember. I don't think I have anything signed by Frank Quigley. So I think if I remember correctly, he was at Baltimore one year, but the line for him was just so long that I was like, nah, I ain't doing it. So yeah, so one of these days when I go to a con and he's there, I'll do the stand in line for an hour and a half just so I can sign a few books. And thank you so much, Frank. This book was so much. I enjoyed this book so much. It was so much fun. So, did you have a hangnail when you did this issue? So, and then day 188, we've got Outsiders number 38, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. This is actually the Adventures of the Outsiders, but I have it down. But because it's even though it's the Adventures of the Outsiders, I have it listed in my in my box of signed books. I have it listed with all the Outsiders. So this was actually the last issue of the Adventures of the Outsiders before they debuted the Outsiders as their own title, and it was done in prestige format book. So Jose, he did the cover for it, and of course it's Jose, so had to have him sign it. So, which you know how it is. How it's like when you see the book's been done just with a cover by Jose, you look at it and how everything's so beautifully rendered. So that's the reason why I had that listed here. He did a couple covers. I think he did 3 or 4 covers for the Outsiders. So, so I got him signed. And then, of course, after that, we have Outsiders Zero, Day 189, signed by Paul Pellier. I would say, of all the Outsider series, this one was probably my favorite. Not just because of the artwork, but it really was like it had pretty much all the original characters, but really there was ones those were like they were kind of given the leeway that they could do anything with the book. And Mike Barr, who did the story, he really went hog wild, and he just anything. I mean, he basically nothing was sacred with any of these characters, and he just went all out. I mean, he turned Looker into a vampire. Uh, Halo, she died and was reincarnated in another body. Uh, and then with the addition of the new characters, including Faust, who was the son of the original, remember the villain, the magical character, the villain. It basically was his son as was as was Faust, and so and of course Paul Pellier's artwork, so dynamic, but then just so beautifully rendered. It was he has the knack, specifically when he's doing this at this point of his career. He was doing a lot of real like push pull, so his character, so his art, so his everything looked like his people looked like had a softer feel to them, which was really cool, and I do enjoy those. And you can see where it's like influenced by like Alan Davis, and so especially early in his career, you could really see the influence of Alan Davis on his work. So, which is probably the reasons why he got the this as being like a. Because remember, The Outsiders has always been a slight uh, Batman adjacent book, and of course, Alan Davis having such an incredible run on Batman. So, and then of course there was issue 4, day 190 of The Outsiders, same run. And this one here, again, a dynamic cover. Geoforce is like destroying jets. And of course, this is where they also had the Eradicator in it. Which, remember also, I think also with this book, because it was like just go hog wild, they were definitely wanting the book to have a image, feel, or sensibility about it, which would explain why they had the Eradicators in this book. So, but I enjoyed this run of this run of the series. So I was kind of disappointed when they ended it. And feel it kind of ended prematurely, but hey, if the sales aren't there, move on. I think he moved. I think actually Paul moved on from this to working on negation for CrossGen. So, and then after that was day 191, Outsiders number 10, signed by Tom Rainey. Now, here's the thing about Tom Rainey with this book, or not this book, this specific issue. Okay, Judd Wieck was the storyteller, and he starts the storyteller talking about how police radios, how uh, the reason why they police officers when they're on the radio, they give codes. So like if this like officer down has a code, it's a robbery code, domestic dispute has a code, and this one here they determined that if there was uh, something going on involving capes, involving superheroes, one of the codes would be like 11035 capes. So I'm just making up whatever the numbers were before that. But basically, what it was is that there's something going on at such a location, whether it be a domestic dispute, a robbery, whatever. But superheroes cape. They would use the code capes, indicating that superheroes are involved in the incident. And many times also it helped with, as they explained it, or in the story was if superheroes are involved, it gave police the understanding that when they arrive on scene, by and large, their job is to get civilians to safety. They're really not to engage, they're just to get civilians to safety. Which, again, I thought was really smart with how Judd Wieck explained it. And then, of course, we get into the story itself where basically I think it's like a neighborhood, and the superheroes just beat the shit out of each other. Uh, and then the police are there just getting people out of harm's way. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and that's the reason why I wanted this specific issue of of the Outsiders that I had signed. That's the reason why I wanted this specifically one to be part of this video, is because I really like that part, and that's one of those things where it's like I look at it like that is so smart, and I've never seen that used since then. I mean, think about it. Judd Wieck added to the lore of the DC universe, and it was so smart. But yet, you've never seen it used since then. And I really am disappointed that I have never seen it in another comic book since this issue. So, because like I said, I really like the idea of how it's like it explains how does law enforcement function in a world of superheroes. So, but and then of course after that we're heading to the end of the week, and we got day 192, and it's day 192, and it is the official handbook of Marvel the Ultimates. Now this version of the Ultimates, what they did a lot of times is they just uh, took artwork that was already done in other comic books and just used it as like clip art to create the entries, which that didn't bother me. But I know that they think about it. All the work has been done, so this was a relatively very lucrative book for Marvel to do because they didn't have to really hire anybody to do the artwork. Which in comic books, that's probably one of the most one of the biggest factors, or one of the biggest expenses in comics is the creative art team. And so, because all the artwork was already done, all they had to really do was get somebody uh, to I guess almost like a press person, not a press as in news release, but a press like a print press, to establish the pages, put the artwork where it's be, put the the text of the name, height, weight, superpowers, and history of the character. So the book, this type of book I look at and would be is very lucrative, and I would hope that Marvel and DC would really look back and go, what was lucrative for us, and what's really like about when they do these is it really gives you a chance to get caught up on a title that you haven't been following. With this being the Ultimates, gives you the ability to really get caught up on all the different characters that were a part of the Ultimates universe. So, okay, I'm going to go in. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep working on this log. I was going to work on the hand, but I want that to be very fine dots, so I'm going to use a different nib for that. So, um, but no, so Tom Rainey did some spot illustrations in this, or I should say, some of his work for Marvel's Ultimate line was used in this book. So I took the opportunity to have him sign this issue. And then we end the week with Wolverine, the official handbook. And I have this one signed by Sean Chen and Dan Fraga. So Dan Fraga did an issue, did I think it was like 2 to 3 issues of Wolverine. They used his artwork, and what's really neat about like both Sean and Dan was they use, because what they'll do is, okay, say this is the page, and they got the text coming down here, and they got an image of the character. The image they used, which would be a nice establishing shot hero, was the artwork that those guys did. So I really enjoyed it. So having the ability for those guys to sign it, yeah, I'm going to have them do it. So, so no, I really enjoyed having these issues, and I've always been a big fan of the DC Who's Who, and I've always been a fan of the Marvel official handbook. So, even though this was an update, it's not the original run. Still, it's one of those where it's like I'm glad I have them, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to get some of them signed. So, if I have the opportunity to get others signed in the future, I will. So, okay, guys, this video is all but done. Tomorrow, I'm hoping to do a video. I do not know though. Tomorrow we are going to the HersheyCon in the sweetest place on earth, Hershey, Pennsylvania. Yeah, as a Pennsylvania resident, I really get annoyed and tired of how everybody refers to Hershey as the sweetest place on earth. And as a result, you go to a concert and they'll market it as the sweetest musical event in the United States. And then with the Comic Con, the sweetest Comic Con that you'll ever go to. That bullshit stuff really annoys me. But that's probably because I'm in this area and I get tired of it. So, but as I always say, Hershey, Pennsylvania, is the sweetest place on earth with a very bitter aftertaste. Because anybody who lives in this area is one who's like, yeah, we all know what Hershey's really about. So, but okay, guys, I'm basically about done. So I'll hope to do a video tomorrow, but I do not know. I am looking forward seeing Wayne Fosher again, and along with Al Milgram, and then of course I'll be meeting Tom Durnick for the very first time, and so I'm definitely going to see and have him sign my JLA Classifieds, which has JLA Detroit, which means, yes, that's right, folks. I'm getting some Vibe comics signed. I'm getting my Vibes comics signed. So, but I know I'll either Sunday night or Monday. I'll post a video of the signed books that I got at the show. So until then, guys, you have a great day. I'm having a great day working on this. So until then, have a great day and take life one die at a time.